And the station where your voice is heard. It's Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. And I want to say, pardon me, all right, my voice is a little bit croaky, so I'm going to be sounding more husky. It's the weather, but we're working on it, all right, with the natural remedy. So I'd implore you to please, follow me along while we stir up the conversation. Once again, the political spotlight is already on the go. My name is Esther Wachuku. Welcome. You know how we do it on this program every Sunday evening. We get to intellectually, logically discuss issues, topical issues affecting the Nigerian political landscape. And one of the things that we try to do here, always reiterated, we do not try to defame or criticize or bring down anybody or denigrate or derogate or portion any blame. We factually look at these issues. And of course, we tend to bring out different perspectives, different angles of these issues. People have different ways of reasoning. So we try to bring out this different logical reasoning, and then we now find a way forward. So once again, there is no denigration. There is no putting anybody on a spot whereby people would call and begin to make any form of statements that could be defaming. That's basically not it. We have intellectual discourse, and then when you call, you get to give us your contribution based on the conversation that we've actually started off. All right. Okay. So you do know that I don't do this program alone. There's always an analyst in the studio or off the studio via the telephone. Each way we have somebody who would also give us their professional perspective or professional reasoning to some of the conversations that we'll be having on the political spotlight. So it's an interesting day in the city of Lagos, and wherever it is you're listening to me from, I would implore you to tune into the dial 90.3 FM. All right. 90.3 FM. Currently as well, we're streaming live on YouTube. So if you virtually want to be part of the conversation anywhere in the world that you are, you can actually join. All right. Join the conversation, and then let's start off this discourse appropriately as possible. Also, I would implore you that on the screen while we are live, you'll see the WhatsApp number, so you can actually begin to send your messages while the conversation goes along. Okay, it's important for you to actually do that. And of course, obviously, I can always tell you that we try to make it as interesting and proportionate in the best angle that we can head or go as the program commences. Also, for a couple of you who want to join in being part of logical reasoning, right? You can actually send your number on the WhatsApp. Okay, we can join you to the political spotlight group. We have a particular group where we can continue to have these conversations, continuing the conversation, and we would like to hear your recommendation where we get to see different angles to talking about most of these issues that of course are right in the polity. So once you're sending your number on the WhatsApp, we'll actually add you to the group, and then the conversation can continue from there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Estiq Media on YouTube. That's ESTIQ MEDIA, ESTIQ MEDIA. On Facebook, it's Esther Wachuku. On X is Esther Wachuku as well. And of course, on Instagram is Esther Unwaz. That's ESTANWAZ. Those are my social media handles. First off, let me start off with this. 4 soldiers today were killed, 2 others injured in a brutal ambush by bandits in Gudu local government area of Sokoto State over the weekend. The attack occurred along the Kukaro-Bangi Road and also saw the assailants burning down 2 patrol vehicles belonging to the soldiers. The incident was confirmed by Yaya Gudu, the member representing Gudu at the Sokoto State House of Assembly. Now, describing the attack as disheartening, Gudu noted that he had informed Governor Ahmed Aliyu about the incident, prompting the deployment of reinforcements to the area. A resident who also spoke on condition of anonymity to Daily Trust reported seeing the bandits passing through the area on 20 motorcycles. 20 motorcycles. Now, when this information broke out, what set the tone for a lot of people was, okay, so this bandits brazenly came, set ablaze soldiers' vans, killed them, injured 2. It was obviously an ambush, right? And we're here to hear what the Nigerian military is here to do about it. For example, they were supposed to barricade the area, come en masse like they did when the whole situation in Abia occurred, like they also did in Delta State. So we're waiting to hear what the Nigerian military is going to do about it, because that's basically what the conversation has begun. If the bandits could brazenly do this, set their vans ablaze, they were on 20 motorcycles, that means they had ambushed those soldiers, or possibly somebody gave them some information as to the location of the soldiers, what will the Nigerian military do? Will they be mute? Will they saturate the area like they usually do when it happens in the southeast or in any other state like Delta, or most of those areas where we've heard them saturate when there was an issue? You know what happened in Okwama, right? How the soldiers came in their numbers. We saw also in the southeast in Aba as well. We saw how they came in their numbers and they apprehended these individuals. So are we going to see that kind of sporadic, accelerated reaction to what transpired in in Sokoto today? Are we going to see that kind of act take place there? All right, that's part of it. Also, Obasanjo lately made a comment, and he actually said that Nigerian legislators and politicians need to be locked up. And he made that statement because he said that the politicians decide their salaries. In fact, he actually granted a press interview. I'm going to play it to you so you get to hear it himself. He made that statement. He said, how can you determine your salaries by yourself? What happens to the common man? What happens to other people, right? So if the people are agitating, there's a common cause for it. You can't stay, decide your salaries, decide your pay, and then you say the people shouldn't protest. He said they should be locked up, and also reiterated that Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Well, I would say that the Nigerian senators have also responded to Olusegun Obasanjo. So let's take a listen to him briefly.
Respect. You are not supposed to fix your salary or your allowances. It's supposed to be done by the revenue mobilization and in your own case, with all due respect, you are not supposed to fix your salary or your allowances. It's supposed to be done by the revenue mobilization and Okay. But you decide what you pay yourself, the allowances that you give yourself, newspaper allowances, pant allowances, sheeting allowances. You give yourself all sorts of things with all due respect. And you know it's not right. It is not right. It is not right for me to be the one to determine what I pay myself. It's immoral. And then you are doing it. The Senate is doing it. And you beat your chest. And in some cases, even the executive give you what you are not entitled. You all got 200 million naira.
All right, so that's a brief summary of what Olusegun Obasanjo actually disclosed concerning the Nigerian Senate. And it had actually sparked quite the reaction across political conversation platforms where political discourse takes place. Now, the Nigerian Senate reacted. They strongly refuted the recent allegation which suggested that they determine their own salaries or receive special financial packages from the presidency. The claims, which emerged during a visit by members of the State House of Representatives to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, he made that statement in their presence. He did not say it behind them. It wasn't like he went somewhere and he was just talking about it. No, he said it to their faces. So apparently, the Senate spokesman, Yemi Adaramodu, who represents Ekiti South, he said the Senate labeled the allegations as an attempt to crucify the legislature by the centurions of political hypocrisy. Senator Adaramodu clarified that no senator has received any financial patronage from the presidency. He explained that the constituency projects often associated with the legislature are suggested and nominated by senators consistent with practices in other democratic nations. The chamber alleged anyone with credible evidence to present alternative facts, dismissing suggestions that the National Assembly fixes its own salaries as uncharitable and satanic. The Senate also clarified that the executive arm of government, through its various ministries and agencies, is responsible for awarding contracts for constituency projects. And then he reassured the public of the 10th Assembly's commitment to being a responsible and responsive chamber. Okay. Now, on Friday was to mark the 10th End Bad Governance protest. It was quite a huge one. We saw what transpired across all the states of the Federation. We saw all that took place. We saw all the reactions, all right, that occurred. And trust me, we got a lot of talk. One person who was a very staunch advocate of that protest was Omoyele Sowore. We also had other political opposition members who had actually vouched the fact that they can go on with the protest as long as they do not destabilize the polity, as long as things do not devolve to chaos. But we saw what also happened in the north, the hoisting of the Russian flag. That one, of course, was another, will I say, angle to the conversation, and everyone was wondering what was the agenda in the first place. Does this verify what the presidency was talking about when they said that indeed some persons who were not satisfied with the 2023 general elections were going to take advantage of this protest to their own, would I say, what you would call an alteration, or what you call a controversy that they've had with the 2023 presidential elections. Others alluded that there is possibility that the Northerners are not happy, specifically some Northern elites are not happy with this current administration. So anything they would use to scuttle this particular protest or take advantage of it to make it seem like the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not strong enough, then that is one of the reasons why they decided to ensure that something else evolved from the hashtag End Bad Governance protest. And again, to corroborate that, okay, is one particular individual that is a spokesperson for the Arawa Youth Consultative Forum, the national president of the Arawa Youth Consultative Forum, Yerima Shetima. He spoke about the recent protest in the north of Nigeria. He said that the region's active participation surprised many, as the North had not been as involved in protests in the past. Shetima explained that the people of the North have been neglected for a long time by their leaders, leading to a frustration and anger. He mentioned the previous leaders from the North did not take proper care of the region. Instead, they left the people in poverty and did not fulfill their responsibilities. According to Shetima, the Northern leaders had the opportunity to improve the lives of their people, but they failed to do so. The failure has caused widespread disappointment in the region. Shetima was also particularly critical of the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. He described Buhari's 8 years in power as a waste for both the North and the entire country. He believes that the current President, Bola Tinubu, inherited many of the problems created during Buhari's tenure. And this is what he said. He said this is why the people of the North are now deeply involved in the protest. He also warned that if the current leaders do not take action to address the problems in the North, the situation could worsen. He predicted that the protests could become more intense and widespread, with even more people joining in. All right. And so he said that the APC planted what they are reaping today. He said the 8 years of Buhari was just a waste for the region of the country. Tinubu therefore inherited the problem, and this is the consequence of the wasteful leadership of Buhari's era, and that is what provoked our people to be deeply involved in the demonstrations. If the leaders cannot do the needful, they will see the worst protest shortly, where everybody will be consumed. Now, others said that he made a threat, even if everyone could understand his statement, where he's coming from, because indeed, right, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inherited a dilapidated economic situation, and it was very obvious. But that a couple of people feel that the president knew this was the situation, and he had promised that he was going to do the needful. He was going to see how he was going to repair this problem, and his policies and initiatives were meant to drive home that point. Okay, well, that is not the end of the hashtag End Bad Governance protest. Now, apparently, the protesters have revealed a fresh plan. In fact, one of the persons who made a deadly post on Friday was Charlie Boy, the veteran musician. He said the next protest will be unannounced, it will not be televised, and that the next protest would be bloody. There were some words he used that I don't actually want to read out here because it is NTBB. You can actually use some certain words and you don't want to evoke the polity. But it was quite a topic that made a lot of people to think, what exactly could that mean? Now, the protesters revealing this fresh plan said that if Tinubu is not ready to listen to them, they are coming back in millions. Okay, the organizers of the Take It Back movement protest have vowed to return to the streets soon with a 10 million man protest across the 36 states of the Federation. And this declaration comes following the end of the 10-day series of the nationwide protest against economic difficulties in Nigeria. Now, the group had commenced the nationwide protest on Thursday, August 1, and wrapped up on Saturday, yesterday. The demonstrations have taken to the streets in Abuja and various other cities, advocating for the reinstatement of the fuel subsidy and a reduction in electricity tariffs, among other issues. The protesters also remained steadfast with their demands, holding placards and banners with slogans such as reinstate a corruption-free fuel subsidy, rent should be paid monthly, and Nigerians are weary of ineffective leadership. They, however, expressed dissatisfaction with this administration's apparent disregard for their concerns, despite their persistent presence on the streets for full 10 days. Now, one person who spoke on behalf of the protesters, his name is Abiodun Sanusi, he's an activist. He indicated that while the movement would pause its demonstrations for the time being, they will return with an even larger and more resolute assembly if their demands continue to be ignored. So these are major issues that actually needs what you call logical reasoning, thoughts to reason actually, and it bothers quite a lot of people because exactly what does this mean? Now, in the course of all this, we actually heard about a particular northern elite who is an APC chieftain. I think he is. I don't know if he's still an APC chieftain because you can't be an APC chieftain and make this kind of allegation. It was quite scary when he made this statement. He said something that the fortune of President Tinubu has been exposed. He exposed it and said that he owns 17 oil wells, subsidy scandal. In fact, it was quite, I don't know how to explain it. So the question is, if something happens that a lot of people are not comfortable with, is it that the next thing they do is to begin to divulge secrets about a party that they had actually expressed their allegiance to? It's quite surprising when you consider how they come out to speak and express themselves, because you would wonder exactly, didn't you know all of this before you joined this party and before you actually expressed your allegiance? So this particular APC chieftain, Dr. Garus Gololo, he alleged that President Tinubu owns 17 oil wells, accused him of controlling subsidy, and he leveled serious allegations against President Tinubu. Now, that statement he made was spoken in Hausa. The video is actually out there. You can, I don't know how to interpret it for you, but if I'm to play it, it's spoken in Hausa. So I don't know if you'll be patient to listen to the interpretation. So this is basically the interpretation of the video. He leveled the serious allegations against the president, claiming that President Tinubu owns 17 oil wells in the Niger Delta, and that he manipulates the country's oil subsidy system for personal gain. I'm waiting for the presidency, anyone in the presidency, to respond to this man because he belongs to the All Progressives Congress. I also expect the DSS to invite him for questioning precisely where he got this data from and the wealth of information, because it's like some persons come out and make heavy allegations against the president, and either the aides of the president keep quiet, they don't say anything, the DSS is non-responsive. But if it were other persons from certain ethnic groups or certain regions, we are going to hear a different tone entirely. So, of course, these claims went viral. Dr. Gololo was speaking in Hausa. He expressed deep concerns over the monopolization of Nigeria's oil wealth by the president and his family. Now, in the video, Dr. Gololo alleged, I want to read out what he meant by what he was saying, or rather the interpretation of the words he reeled out in Hausa. And categorically, Dr. Gololo quoted, "Tinubu owns 17 oil wells in the Niger Delta that I know of. His children, Kunle and Wale Jr., run his refinery for him in Malta, Owando, and Ajib. They now belong to him." He also alleged that he pays himself the subsidy he supposedly removed, which means fuel prices will never decrease. He even awarded a 15 trillion naira contract to himself. Now, these are explosive allegations. If substantiated, could cause significant questions about the integrity and transparency of the current administration, especially amidst the ongoing economic difficulties facing the country. Already, there are questions about the integrity of this administration, whether we like it or not, ever since the 2023 election. And even the previous administration too, the same thing also happened. All right, so that's the thing. They also did not believe in the transparency of the previous administration. So it's not surprising if a lot of people do not believe in the transparency of this administration or even past administrations. You always have critics, but this man made heavy allegations, and so it's expected that he may be sued. We're expecting the presidency to react to this. Dr. Gololo's statements have sparked widespread debate, with growing calls for an official response from the presidency. As of now, President Tinubu and his representatives have not commented on these accusations. The timing also of these allegations is quite sensitive, given the widespread dissatisfaction with the government's economic reforms, which have resulted in skyrocketing fuel prices and increased hardship for ordinary Nigerians. The video has continued to gain traction online, with many Nigerians demanding a thorough investigation into the ownership of the nation's oil assets and the management of the fuel subsidy. Now, I don't know if you recall, there was a time Mele Kyari came out to defend the NNPCL. He claimed that the NNPCL belongs to Nigerians in general. That's what he said. One of the things he also alleged, or rather stated in that particular broadcast that he spoke at one of the workshops that was organized, was the fact that he mentioned, and he said that very soon he would expose a couple of hidden secrets within the NNPC, but he would implore that whenever that conversation has been had, it is televised, it is broadcast. Now, we don't know if that's a subtle way of saying, you people are blaming me, that the senators are keeping quiet, those who are within the NNPC that know how it operates are keeping quiet, and Nigerians are blaming him for corruption. They're alluding that the proceeds of the oil subsidy removal or the proceeds of what is made by the NNPCL are going to his personal pocket. He literally was not happy that a lot of political elites who know how this whatever works, what the process works within the NNPC, have kept quiet and allowed all the criticism to be on his head. So he came out to say they are transparent, they are not corrupt, the NNPC belongs to everybody, even if a lot of people don't believe so. They believe the NNPC belongs to a few people, right? And he's saying that whenever it is the right time for him to speak, that he expects it to be televised. A couple of people did not believe him when he was making that utterance. They just feel it was a way of trying to cover his tracks or make the politicians who kept quiet about him to not come out and brazenly actually attack him or say, you know what, I don't want you to expose us, so just keep quiet. We're not blaming you. We're not keeping quiet. Because after that, we began to hear responses from the National Assembly and some of the senators, who, that is the NMDPR, we began to hear responses from them as to how they monitor the fuel that comes in, how many barrels comes in per day, who is monitoring, what's the auditing like. We're expecting all of this. We expected that after that broadcast, we'll hear the NNPCL tell us precisely what the audit is all about, how they bring in the petrol, and how much profit is made, how much was lost, those that most of the barrels that went out through vandalization or, you know, piracy on sea. We're expecting all of this to be divulged. So we're saying that if Gololo is saying the truth, and we've not had a Bayo Naniga, we've not had an Ajirin Galali, we've not had any one of them come out to dispute what Gololo is saying, could there be some truth in what Gololo actually exposed? We've been hearing talks about this particular situation with the oil. We heard when Dangote made some statements about a refinery in Malta, and a couple of persons actually divulged some hidden truth. But since it's not coming from an official source and the presidency debunked that, Gololo is coming out to say something and nobody has responded. None of them in the presidency has responded. So could there be some truth in what Gololo said? Now, considering the protest, which of course Omoyele Sowore, Charlie Boy as well, and a couple of other activists who participated in this protest, they expressed their dissatisfaction that the president did not listen to their plight. The president did not pay attention to what they were agitating for. Rather, a couple of them were arrested, a couple of them were killed, a couple of them were harassed, detained unconditionally, and that the next one that is going to take place would take over the 36 states of the Federation, and it will be volatile. Charlie Boy used certain words, but this time around the Take It Back movement are indicating that if the president does not respond to them after this 10 days, in the next 1 or 2 months, no specific time frame was given, but in the nearest time, if nothing is being done about the agitation, there's going to be a 10 million man nationwide protest across the 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT. So I want to read out what he said. Earlier on, we declared 10 days of rage to end bad governance in Nigeria. However, it is now clear that President Tinubu is not ready to listen to the demands of Nigerians. Today, which was yesterday, is the final day of the 10 days of rage, but we are promising the Nigerian government and President Tinubu that we will come back until he accedes to our demands. We will return to the streets, and this time will be more than this. We'll be declaring a 10 million person march across the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT. Now, the nationwide protest, as we do know, was characterized by violence, a security person, especially in some regions, specifically the northern region. Security personnel employed lethal measures to curtail, this protest from devolving to something else, which is possibly anarchy. Now, the Nigerian army also acknowledged that they inadvertently caused the death of a teenage boy, Ismail Mohammed, during a protest in Zaria, Kaduna State. We saw the compensation that was given to that particular young boy. So it's a huge deal. We're looking at all of these things. For Gololo to have actually made the statement he made, he's coming from an informed perspective. And that is the question a lot of Nigerians are asking. If Gololo can make such a statement brazenly, then what do we say about it? All right, what exactly is the thought? Others believe that the 1999 Constitution needs to be revamped, like a total overhaul of the 1999 Constitution. That because of this, we'll continue to have this disparity in regionalization, in the wealth of the national resources and how it's being shared, in the disparity too in that process. That things will not be balanced, meaning that if most of the recommendations that was made are the 2017 confab, is it 2017? 2014 confab during the administration of former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, then it means that we will continue to have this topsy-turvy situation with the Nigerian polity. But one person who is actually stating that there is no need for a complete overhaul of the 1999 Constitution is a former presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, that's ADC, and that is Dumebi Kachiku. He's urging President Bola Tinubu not to concede to calls by a former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Emeka Anyaoku, and other statesmen in the country to change the 1999 Constitution. I'm sure you heard about this on Friday. They actually spoke with the president advocating, yeah, you said? Yeah, the patriots, exactly. They actually spoke with the president advocating for the 1999 Constitution to be changed to become people-centric. Kachiku made the appeal, right, at a press statement just yesterday. His plea is coming barely 24 hours after the Patriots, a group led by Anyaoku, the former U.S. Secretary General, met with Tinubu at the Aso Rock Villa. Anyaoku addressed State House correspondents after the meeting. Then he begged the president to forward an executive bill to the National Assembly to legislate on a national referendum that will approve a draft for a pluralistic constitution. He said that a 109-member constituent assembly should be mandated to produce a draft constitution to be subjected to a referendum. But Kachiku disagreed, arguing that the country does not need a new constitution when the old one has not been fully exhausted and can be amended when necessary. So he says, this is what a lot of people from the old order always say. Our biggest problem is that we have not done enough with the current constitution available to us. There is a wealth, according to him. All right. There is so much we can do. Every year or in every legislative agenda, they always introduce constitutional amendments. And in more cases than one, we have seen where the constitution has been amended. So whatever we do or whatever we have to do with our constitution, let us take you through that channel. But the first job of our president is to understand that most Nigerians don't believe we have a country or that we are one people. It is what he must start selling so that when we see the green, white, green of our flag, we see it as meaning the same thing to us. And to be honest with you, Mr. Elvis Alimele, I'm going to introduce you officially. The disparity post the 2023 election has been alarming. I don't know if you've been on X to see the kind of conversation they have. Everything it's like there's a polarization. Any topic of conversation, they would make it become an Igbo thing, a Yoruba thing, or a Hausa thing. It's so bad that it was so apparent during this hashtag End Bad Governance protest. Would you believe that the president's spokesperson was one person who also told that line towards ethnic division, nepotism? Would you believe that? You would have expected that the president's spokesperson would have been one who would advocate that there should be unity. And although, I don't know if you recall that I said something post-election, that the first thing President Tinubu needs to start selling is to see how he could close that polarization, create that synergy, sell his administration as one that is all about unity, all-encompassing. But it didn't happen. Instead, it widened. It became more polarized. And it's so bad. And it's wrong if this is not addressed. I'm telling you the truth. You need to see how the conversation is done on X. And the conversation there is not censored. You can imagine that.
That's also part of it. It's
you can imagine that. No, it's not a funny scenario.
Honestly, it's not.
Because if you understand how a lot of things have merged, all tribes are now intertwined. You cannot separate them anymore. So anybody that is saying now that they're asking certain persons to leave when they've been intimated into
Marriage,
every nook and cranny
business,
in the country, how is that even possible?
Knitted together.
Anyways, like I was saying, there's quite a lot to discuss on the political spotlight this evening. I would like us as well to also logically look at these issues because they're issues that are worth talking about. When we talk about the economic situation, the economic disparity, the federal allocation, how much states are being allocated, you also wonder precisely what is going on. Now, I want you to also remember that one of the governors, Seyi Makinde, said something on Friday that the 570 million naira that the president billion naira, is it billion or million? That the president was claiming to have distributed to the states, he said that was not the truth. Now, I was surprised when I heard that. According to him, he said it was a COVID-19 NG Cares palliative, right? And that the state governors on their own, before the money came, had to use the state fund to initiate it. So it was almost like a payback for that fund, although it's something that they will have to pay off. Is a loan that they will have to pay off later. I remember having this conversation during the world news, either the world news at 6 on Friday or on Saturday. Now, according to when he made this statement, we're all surprised. I was surprised. I didn't expect that when he made that statement because I wondered exactly that when you make such a statement, it's coming from a place of certainty. Also, the Abia State Governor has also made such a statement as well.
Even Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule also said it in one of the national TV channels.
He also said it, right?
Yes, that the money is not even coming from the federal government. It's a World Bank loan of no interest attached.
No interest attached.
Yeah,
so why would that statement be made in the first place if that was not the truth?
I think the federal government want to hype, what they think they have been doing so far, and thereby shifting the attention of the people to the governors and to take their mind off from the presidency.
Are you serious?
I think yes. It's a way of it's a kind of divide and rule. Shift your attention to governors. We've been making funds available to governors, and this is what we have given. So instead of you holding on to the federal and asking the president, we are hungry, the federal government has distributed this so much to these states. Why
I
don't
was
you
one
talk
of
to the
such
state
persons that
governments?
was asking that question.
Even here, we are last Sunday we analyzed this matter until
Yes,
the truth started
coming out.
Because I am also of the opinion that the state governors must do much.
We talked about it extensively.
Sunday.
That while we are
Last Sunday,
portioning
decent-
blame at the
decent
federal
show,
level,
yes.
I think I played an insert where he spoke on one of the radio stations in Abuja, where he said the governors, since he commenced his administration,
information minister,
the Mohammed Idris and orientation.
Radio.
Yes, exactly.
We played it yesterday.
Now, Sheyi Makinde is saying that 570 billion. That money, according to him, he says that it is not true. And this was concerning the hashtag End Bad Governance protest, because people are going to the state secretariat, the state governor secretariat, and they were saying, excuse me, if the president has given you 570 billion, wow, what's going on?
Which is normal.
Where is the money? We are not seeing
it.
it. Okay, so he said that his administration had disbursed 570 billion naira to 36 states. Makinde, in a newsletter shared on his X handle, this was on Thursday, said the state was not in the know of such a grant. He said, I responded to a question from a concerned citizen of Oyo State regarding the claim that the federal government gave states over 570 billion naira as some kind of hardship fund for citizens. Let me state categorically that this is yet another case of misrepresentation of facts. The said funds were part of the World Bank assisted NG Cares project, a program for results intervention. The World Bank facilitated an intervention to help states in Nigeria with COVID-19 recovery. So CARE means COVID-19 Action Recovery Economic Stimulus. And it was called the Program for Results because states had to use their money in advance to implement the program. So before the money from the World Bank came, the states had to use their own fund to implement that initiative. I don't know if you recall at the time, because if they had waited for the World Bank, it would have taken time. You know, there's a process through which these funds are released.
And it has been coming in tranches.
It comes in tranches. So he said that after the World Bank verified the amount spent by the state, it reimbursed the state. So it was more like, since the state had used their own funds, it was a reimbursement. It reimbursed the states through the platform provided at the federal level. The federal government did not give any state money. They were simply the conduit through which the reimbursements were made to states for money already spent. That it is important to note that the World Bank Fund is a loan to states, not a grant.
It's not a grant, yes.
So states will need to repay this loan. Note also that NG Cares, which we Christian, according to him, in Oyo State, Oyo Cares, other states could say Abia Cares, Imo Cares, in our state predates the present federal administration. So according to him, an initiative was already on ground to address this before Tinubu's government came on board. And he also explained that the loan came in two tranches to states, saying Oyo State got 5.98 billion naira in the first tranche, and the second 822 million in the second tranche. So in direct response, the federal government did not give Oyo State any money. We were reimbursed funds, 5.98 billion in the first instance and 822 million in the second instance. Mr. Elvis Elimehele, if this administration is always complaining that the political opponents are all about propaganda, all about nepotistic comments, all about making statements that does not create a sense of synergy amongst all, why are they always inconsistent with some things that comes out from their own purview? You also saw the video that was broadcasted 3 days ago on Wednesday. It was an old video posted on official special aid to the president. In fact, it was on the president's official Twitter handle. Other aides too reposted it. One of them, Ortega or something, he reposted it on his X account. All for Bayo Nanoga the following day to come out and say, this is an old video. This is not true. What is going on within the president's cabinet? Because others have alluded that it is the president's persons who are surrounding him that are creating this problem for him. There is a miscommunication. You have one say one. Some people are even saying there's a problem between Ajuri Ngalali and Bayo Nanuga. Bayo Nanuga comes to say this. Ajuri says, no, that's not what it is. Ajuri comes out to say this. Bayo Nanuga comes out to say something else. A post was made on the president's official handle. If one was to ask, we would think his official handle was hacked. Other aides also reposted it. And for all Bayo Nanuga to come out and say that is an old video. And others are saying the president still has him as his special advisor on information and strategy. How is that even possible? All right, my guest in the studio is Elvis Elimehele. Elvis Elimehele is a political and national affairs commentator. He's also a journalist of over 3 decades. Yes, 3 decades. Mr. Elvis was also here last week on the Political Spotlight. Mr. Elvis, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Esther. Good evening, our listeners and our viewers on YouTube.
All right. Let's start off with this particular situation with this administration. The inconsistency in communication, how they want the people to understand where they're coming from, to show them that sense of leniency. But we're not seeing the same, all right, towards the Nigerian people. Also, the 10 million march that is to occur if the president does not listen to the plight of the people in the next coming weeks or months or whatsoever. We also heard what Charlie Boy had actually said. How I want to even understand how a protest will be organized without it being televised, without it being announced. I don't know how they could put a protest together without informing the relevant security agencies, because you're calling for something else. The people just throng the streets unawares and you don't expect security operatives to act otherwise. I don't know how that is going to take place. What's your take on that?
Thank you, Esther. We have seen the end of the first tranche of the protest that just came to an end on Saturday. And if you ask me, I would say it was successful. It is not because it was successful from the angle of the government,
okay,
but it was successful that the people who owns the government have made a pronouncement.
Okay.
And this pronouncement is before the world that this present administration, led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency, that it has plunged Nigerians into hunger much more than what we have experienced in this country since independence.
Okay.
That is one of the successes of that protest. Then another success of the protest is that the people have a right, and that right is enshrined in the Constitution. And the people's right at all time must be guaranteed by any government in power. And that's why they came out. In spite of all the court injunctions that were flying up and down, before the people still came out and they exercised their right. Another thing I will give it to them on that right, on this protest, is that they did their best to make it peaceful.
Okay.
Yes. You see, if don't look at what happened in the northern part of Nigeria, some of those things that happened in north are also dummy. It could have been sold by the government, in the respective states to pull down whatever administration they have there. Opposition can do that, or whatever, even the present government can do it. Existing government can do. We've seen it before. So by and large, the protest was, peaceful, and the protesters did their best and organized their best in the best form of civility that protest is required of. I give it to them. Now it is before the world, before the international community, that Nigerians are now crying of hunger under this present administration. Then the onus now lies with the government to find a way to take Nigerians out of this hunger that has become an issue in this nation. Not by palliative, Esther. I said it here last week. Palliative cannot solve any problem. Palliative is just like, I am hungry. Let me just quickly do noodles for you. Noodle is not what will solve. It's not, it can't solve it. It's not part of our menu in this nation. It just came.
Yes.
It is this generation that, run after noodle. If you give me, I just want, before the main food comes up, let me just use this one. That's what palliative is all about.
True.
Palliative cannot solve it. Give Nigerians the atmosphere for them to go over their normal businesses, farmer to go to farm and fend for their families, then Nigerians will no longer be. Have we been crying of hunger before now? We've never. We had crisis in this nation in 1993-94 after the annulment of June 12. Nigerians survived it. There were protests everywhere. People were even apprehensive that there was going to be breakdown of law and order. War was going to come and all that. But nobody came to the street and said he was hungry, because people could still go over their normal businesses. But now, we are pretending that all is well, but we cannot do our business as expected. That's one of the problems we have now. So, the protesters, kudos to them. If they are reorganizing, they are restrategizing, they should do better. They know where there were lapses in this, and they know how to shore it up. I want to tell you that these governments, when they were coming into power, they came in. Remember, sometimes in 2022, when we started seeing fake bishop arranged by this government, this very government that we have the people we have in government now, these people can arrange anything to destabilize whatever, the people want to execute. So they should not go back to the drawing board and re-strategize and make sure that whatever is coming, we are not praying that it should be violence, but it should be able to hold the government down for Nigerians to get to what we are talking about.
Okay,
Hunger should be out of our
in regards
hosts.
to what you just said, I want to play something. It actually went viral on WhatsApp, but there was will I say, you can actually relate to it. All right, you can actually relate to it concerning what you talked about, the palliative. So let's just briefly listen to this. Oh, this. We're having issues with the call. Oh, we're having issues with the cord, so I think I'll just put it on speaker so it will be preferable for us to hear it.
You complain about insecurity, right? You complain about unemployment, right?
Yes.
You complain about the fact that, oh, we are hungry, right?
Right.
You say we want to protest, right?
Right.
You say, oh, you don't have medical facilities,
Right.
You say you don't have good schools and good teachers,
Right.
You say minimum wage, right? It's rice.
So,
So that's to tell you
it
that
was meant to be like a
yes,
comic relief, but is it rice that
it looks like comedy, but
is
that's
the truth? But you must eat first now.
No, I mean Esther.
If you want protest, you need to chop food.
No, the rice. How many people? How many families are even getting it to start with? And let's also remember that even if we are celebrating rice in the south, in the north they don't celebrate rice as much as we do in the south here. They have their own type of food. They actually they look for millet, corn, and all that. And even rice. When rice just become the national food now that the federal government is only talking about, we are releasing trucks of rice to states. It's an aberration. It looks like it's demeaning the states and Nigerians. The federal government is talking of releasing trucks of rice, and the states are even coming to say that we have not even received it. The state governors are even so bold enough to say we have not received it. Even when the state governors are supposed to think of how to, come up with policies and programs that will encourage their own citizens within their state to go into agriculture and make something out of it. Nigeria, if you are traveling from Lagos to other part of Nigeria, Esther, you see untapped arable lands everywhere, both left and right. What are we talking about? What are we doing about it? And state governor, by the 1979 Land Use Act, they are the custodian of land in their own state. So they could make use of the land the way they want it. Agriculture should be something that every state must be talking about how to encourage. Not saying we have not received our truck of rice. It's very, very demeaning.
Even they're even saying that the truck of rice, it's not the states as supposedly being stated, that the states have not gotten it.
Yes.
The Abia state government is now the third state to deny receiving Tinubu's 20 trucks of rice. They're saying that they didn't receive any truck of rice. That's what they're saying.
Abia should do something in making the citizens of Abia be able to go to farm and farm for themselves and fend for themselves and not waiting for palliative. 20 trucks of rice shared for Abians. How many Derica cup we enter each family, Esther? Go and think how many. And when it gets to any state it gets to, just when you now begin to see the political leaders will come up, the House of Assembly members will come up, now you begin to see different interest group. That even the real downtrodden Nigerians that actually need this food, it will not get to them. Some of them will now begin to hide it in their home. They want to use it to fester their ego. Some of them will even be using it to do what they call this one. They come to show up that they are doing a constituency giveaway. You know, this is something that came from the federal government that is ordinarily supposed to trickle down to the downtrodden. It will not get to them. So what are we talking about? The state governors must not play the lazy man advocate here. They must come up with policies that get tractors, get modern farm implements, share among your people. Then get agricultural executives that will begin to visit farms. And encourage farmers, teach them the modern way of farming, and give them improved seedlings.
Mr. Elvis, Omoyele Sowore, you know him as an activist and a politician. There have been quite a lot of barrage of criticisms on him. Others are saying that he's not in the country and he was actually galvanizing people to participate in the protest. People died. People actually got seriously injured. And he is not in Nigeria, right? He's out of the country. He's been placed on a watch list. meaning that if he steps his foot in this country, right, he'll be taken in for questioning by the DSS. He has responded to that by saying that he will come. He's not afraid, and it's an opportunity for him to enlighten the security agencies further, to properly educate them, because according to him, he feels a lot of them are not properly educated. They're just going according to orders from their masters, but they don't even know what they're supposed to do, ideally, as security agents. He has announced that the organizers of the End Bad Governance protest plan to take legal action against the federal government over the killing of protesters during the demonstrations. And the decision follows the nationwide End Bad Governance protest, which started on August 1 in response to widespread economic hardship being faced by Nigerians. So during an interview with the Punch, Showore, also, who is one of the organizers, stated that the government was the first to escalate the protest into violence. When asked about the number of protesters killed and arrested during the demonstrations, Showore replied, "So far, we know of 17 persons murdered in cold blood by the Nigerian police force. We know of a police officer who was killed by a fellow policeman who rammed a water cannon armored carrier into his van in Katsina State, and an immigration officer who shot himself accidentally in Borno State." So he expressed deep sorrow for those who lost their lives or were injured while exercising their constitutional right to protest peacefully, and that the government was forced to bring in violence during the demonstration. Now, if they sue the federal government, do you think they will get any repose? Do you think the court will sue those who are actually suing the federal government? I mean, I don't know. What do you think the result is going to be like?
No, they have a right to sue the federal government on this, careless loss of life, unavoidable death, as a result of maybe overzealousness of our security agencies. Yes, they can sue the federal government. Democracy is all about testing the judiciary, testing the power of the court, because that's where the power of the people lies. You understand? Anyone that goes in and it comes out successful, I mean, it becomes something that you need to interpret at all. The Supreme Court have given social judgment on this. It becomes part of the law. It becomes a part of the law. So they have the right. Let them try it. If it is thrown out, where we know where we are. If it says true, it becomes part of those things that will be used to challenge the government. That we have a judgment on this matter some years ago on this. So I think I welcome the idea of them going to court. I mean, because we are talking about Nigerians that died, and these Nigerians are young men who are, protesting for their own rights. We want the government to give us those things that will make us livable, not, pushing us as if we are non-entities in our own country. I think I welcome it.
A senior special advisor on digital and new media to the president, Ortega Ogra, yes, this was the person that reposted that video, all right, that made it seem credible that there was a video actually done, a fresh video actually done, empathizing with Nigerians, since Nigerians had complained on the previous one that was done on Sunday. So Ortega Ogra has claimed that the Naira redesign policy, which was introduced by the former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele, is the cause of hunger and economic hardship in the country. He made this claim on a very popular television station. Ogra argued that the Naira redesign policy stopped a lot of farmers from going to farm to plant, hence the reason for limited food output. Okay, so in October 2022, we know that Emefiele introduced a Naira redesign policy where 200, 500, 1,000 Naira old notes, were to be replaced with new ones. Ogra said, and I'm going to read out what he said, "The most important thing is to realize what it takes to end hunger and guarantee food security in Nigeria. It is not a magic wand. The president has said on countless occasions that he does not want to look behind and lay blames, but let us situate things properly. At the beginning of last year, we had the Naira redesign. That Naira redesign ensured that a lot of farmers did not go to farms to plant and all that. It simply meant we had limited food output at the end of last year." Ogra said the president is importing equipment from Belarus, Brazil, and the US for mechanized farming. So he says we cannot use short-term solutions for long-term problems. And the problem of food security has bedeviled this country for a very long time. So Nigerians need to understand that this is a process. The president has also opened the borders for the importation of food items for 6 months in the first instance, and from grains to other staples that Nigerians eat. We do hope that this will bear fruit.
Absolutely not. You see, that's where I'm actually not too comfortable with officials of this government. He's talking about Naira redesign that ended with Buhari's administration, and that's 2022. I say that is the cause of hunger. Was Naira redesign part of those things that never made farmers to go to farm? It was not. Farmers are not in the farm because of insecurity. Simple and plain. And again, Esther, let's not forget that same administration came up with what we call rice pyramid, and that they displayed in this that same MK Abiola Stadium in Abuja, saying that Nigeria was now self-sufficient in production of rice.
Okay.
MFLA and the farmers then displayed this. Where is that rice today? Where is that program? If that rice was actually produced in Nigeria and by Nigerian farmers, why did the government not key into that program for it to continue? Any good thing any good policy that comes from any administration ought to continue if it is beneficial to the people. Now we are talking about food insecurity. We are talking about hunger. If that rice was actually rice, those bags they showed us, that rice pyramid they showed in MK Abiola Stadium in Abuja during MFLA Buhari's administration were actually rice produced by Nigerian farmers. What stopped the policy from continuing? Why are we not crying of rice? Why are we not expecting rice to be imported from neighboring countries and federal government now distributing rice to states? States should have key into it. We saw the Governor Bago of Niger State that he came up with tractors and other farm equipment and said he's now a farmer governor.
Okay.
He wants to go into farming. Good. Then the federal government should assist him in getting enabling environment, security-wise, because we know how volatile Niger State is now in terms of security. And Niger State had the largest land mass in Nigeria. Arable land mass that can be cultivated for agriculture. If he has the good security for him to actually go to farm and utilize all those things he has imported, Niger State can confidently feed himself and even feed some neighboring state. Let another state also do likewise. Because to see that it does not mean that every state must be specialist in agriculture before they can feed Nigeria. But those who are good in it must do it in total and have the security to come up with all they need. Then you discover in Lagos State, we don't have so much land in Lagos State where we'll be talking of so much farming. But you see, there was something they call lake rice. Lagos and Kebbi came together during Ambo this time. I said, okay.
And it was quite successful.
Yes, we don't have the space to do this farming, but you have. Do the farming, then we can support you. Then let part of the food.
In collaboration with the River State. Is it River State? Ben Ayade at the time.
Yeah, so we can bring it down to us here. We have the market in Lagos. Why don't we go into such things? Those things that will make the people to know that there is a government in place. Okay, the rice mill at Ikorodu, what they call that place in Ikorodu that was set up by this administration, Sanwo-Olu's administration. Is it working? Do they actually have the party to even to process there? Is it working? If the rice mill is just set up and there is no produce for it to work, it's just like what Dangote is talking about now, that he has his refinery and no crude oil. It's only in Nigeria we see those kind of gigantic projects and it's not working. So if the rice mill is here in Lagos, look at other states that have this land that can cultivate rice, and federal government giving the adequate security for them to go into farm, then bring it here, we'll process it, then we have the market here also. Then they can come up with an MOU on how to go about it. It's not just that because Niger State is doing farming, Lagos must do farming. No, they can collaborate together and say this is how we want to go about it. That's what we are talking about. The whole of northern states in Nigeria, what they are known for is agriculture. I read that statement from Shetima, that Arewa, whatever.
Yes.
And what he has been saying is that throughout that interview, he's crying that they cannot go to farm.
That's what he said. He actually reiterated that if the president does not do something soon, that the next protest
might be volatile, might be worse. Because
and to consume everyone.
He gave everything about this protest. He said is because of hunger and anger. That Nigeria, Northerners are hungry.
Yes.
And that they have been deceived so far by their leaders who have led this nation for so many years, which is true. I think he spoke the truth to
in terms of Buhari's government. He said they abandoned them.
He said Buhari's government was a total waste, and I said it here. Nobody should. Buhari's government is like they call the cancan worm and the locust in the Bible. Everything is in Nigeria was completely deflated throughout his 8 years. It's not even a government that we should be mentioning. But history is also there that we cannot wipe out that 8 years. That's why we should always be using one word. Like even his people are saying it now, that it was wasted years. But before Buhari's government, have you thought of all the military administration that we have had in this nation, that almost all of them military head of states, almost all of them came from the north? What do they do for their people? Even when the democracy came now, We saw only apart from Obasanjo and Jonathan, we have also had them too. What have they been doing for their people?
Mr. Elvis, the talk actually, for example, they said every situation in this country is all about selfish interests and it's politically motivated. They said from the executive level and the political elites, most of the situation are strategically planned in a certain way so that they are able to get some derivatives, like to gain some certain things, whatever it is. I don't know what their interest is. For example, like I always say, I belong to this particular group where we logically talk about political issues, and sometimes they hold spaces. In the spaces, we look at political events. They also give predictions of what the turnout is going to be like. Now, one of the presidential will I say aides, but he did not disclose his name, said something. He said, everything is planned. He said, for example, that the only way Nigerians can allow their voice independently to be heard is during general elections. That if everyone decides not to collect whatever bribe or sensitive whatever from any one of them, that is the only way their voice will be heard. That the election is the only way their voices can count, and that is when anything anybody is saying that those political elites can listen to. He said that when it comes to contracts, all those contracts, even food, infrastructure, education, agricultural loans to farmers, all these things, he said something. He said that if something is not being collected by certain persons, they would try to mutilate the positive impact of that project. He also talked about political parties. He said we should stop holding these individuals responsible. The political parties are a major crux of the problem. I remember on Saturday, I actually asked a question about the fact that what happens to individuals that belong to certain political parties. My guest in the studio talked about the individual, but others believe that political parties essentially is what represents.
I said it here last Sunday. I said political parties, especially APC, failed in its responsibilities. The political party, as it is in Nigeria today, they are the producer of every candidate that we see that eventually emerge as either president or governor or whatever.
Okay.
Because we don't have independent candidacy in Nigeria constitution here yet. So if, as we are crying of hunger, we are crying of maladministration in this nation now, and APC is the ruling party, they are still seeing their so-called members who have been elected into position living this kind of ostentatious lifestyle, profligacy. Why don't APC call their members to order who are now in government and say, with this, our people may have a revolt vote against our party in the next election. Why don't we put things down so that in the next election, the job will be a little bit easier for us to win again? We are not seeing that. Why? Forget about the only way you can, change government. I mean, as citizens, is all about election. In Nigeria, election have not been favoring us. We have the name. Oh, we are going for another election. Probably.
So are you discouraging?
No. Listen, I'm coming, Esther. We are preparing now for 2027 general election game. Probably, maybe we are going to change the government, or the present government may have, done their home, put their home well, and we'll say, okay, let's continue with them. That's good. We just saw what happened in Britain. After all these years, Conservative Party is gone, Labour has come in. That is where election counts, vote of the people counts. Here in 2023, everybody was agog. Everybody was like expectant. Oh, this is going to be the best election. Esther, we analyzed all the beavers and transmission of election and all that. We analyzed this,
and the assurance gotten from
the assurance and the money that was 300 something billion released for the election. Everybody was like, no, as soon as you finish your voting, your local ward or whatever polling booth is going to be transmitted electronically to the next one. There's no way anybody it will be to interfere and the result will be changed. That was the people's wish, and everybody was happy that we're going to have a better change. True. Ordinarily, where voting of the people counts, that's enough for you to be happy that, we are going to have the desired change. But what happened? The agency we so relied on, the agency that every Nigeria was celebrating that they brought innovation, they brought technology into the electoral system of Nigeria, also used their hand to scuttle it. At the middle of the game, they started shifting the goalposts. What now did they not told Nigerians? They told Nigerians that, there was a glitch in their system.
In fact,
the same day the presidential election was done, the same day the National Assembly election was gone. National Assembly, there were no glitch. But when it comes to presidential result, there was glitch. What are you talking about? The people are frustrated. The people know that the best way to change the government is through voting. They came out en masse. But will they allow it count in this part of the world? That is the big question.
Well, you know Sam Amadi, right? He's one of the director of the Abuja School of Social and Political Thoughts. Sam Amadi has accused INEC, the judiciary, of destroying the 2023 elections in Nigeria.
Which is true.
He was also the former executive chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission.
Yeah.
He decried the political strategy in Nigeria, which he said is all about bribing INEC, judiciary, and the security. He averred that when an agency created under the law with enabling act makes rules, those rules become law. Amadi stressed that such an agency can only unmake it through the making process. If not, it will be bound to obey it. Now, you remember there was a time INEC came out to tell us that its officials who were involved in an electoral malpractice during the 2023 elections are already out of prosecution. We're not saying that.
We have not heard anything.
They came out to make some confessions as to the fact that, yes, their officials were involved. Punitive measures are already being taken. They've been taken to court. We've not heard anything more about those officials.
We've not heard.
We saw the off-season elections, right? We saw some of these officials literally writing results.
Yes.
It was on social media.
Yes.
We saw the videos. We saw security operators too, who were meant to protect the people's votes, being part of the process of electoral.
Turn off their faces.
Exactly. So we expected to have seen a continuation or possibly a public proceeding of how this was going to go through. The Adamawa wreck, of course, what's his name, who is on the run, supposedly.
In fact, the matter is almost forgotten.
Dead on arrival.
For another election.
He actually said that the last time they said he collapsed. The other time they said he went to which
Niger,
country? Niger, with his
crossed.
So all of these things, we thought that we're going to see issues resolved to calm the people's nerves that indeed whatever it is they thought about the 2023 elections is not true. So it's buttressing the facts that indeed INEC contributed in the dilapidation of the 2023 elections, and those that voted also complained about the fact that the judiciary enabled it. Not just Sam Amadi, even one of the very strong legal practitioners as well. We have their videos. They came out to say most of those things. The reason why I'm talking about political parties is this. Salihu Lukman has been quite vocal about, the political administration of the APC. And he's talked about the time of former President Buhari, and also now that Tinubu is in charge. According to him, he's saying that Peter Obi, Atiku, Kwankwaso, they're to reform democracy. And he's actually stating that there are deep concerns. It is quite important for everybody to follow through with this. He described the government's excessive spending under this administration despite widespread hunger and poverty. And he actually argued that this misalignment of priorities is partly responsible for the volatile situation currently gripping the nation. He urged all committed Democrats in Nigeria to rise to the challenge and work towards mobilizing citizens to channel their frustrations in a constructive manner. Which brings me back to the question I asked you about political party. On Friday, I asked my analyst in the studio, I said, you have a Peter Obi of the Labour Party, you have a Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party, you have Atiku of the PDP during the 2023 elections, and then of course the current administration APC. Now you would have expected that the Labour Party and the New Nigeria People's Party will play a strong role as an opposition, where they critically come out to question everything this administration is doing. It almost feels that the only person speaking for the PDP is Atiku Abubakar. We've seen what transpired in Rivers State and how the PDP has been quite docile. We're also seeing the Labour Party and its internal wrangling, which has literally silenced their voices. The supporters of the Labour Party feel that the Labour Party is no longer active. What they expected it to be is not what it is. And Peter Obi cannot take all the responsibility of being an opposition, if you want to consider that. Now, they're now asking questions. Should Peter Obi form an obedient movement, a different political party? Others are saying, no, he shouldn't. Because you can't leave ABGA and then to PDP and then to Labour Party. You want to form another political party. It will seem like you're not serious and you're not loyal. That you're possibly amongst the politicians that really is desperate to be a president. Which is basically what they're all saying. Others are saying Atiku may not go to any other political party. He has always been wanting to become the president, just like Tinubu wanted. So, we're now talking about this youth who have been talking about integration, to be integrated into the polity, where they're given certain roles of leadership. Others question that these youth who are vibrant, supposedly educated, who think they can, in an unbiased way, lead, what if they're exposed to money? How do we think that they would authentically rule? Others are saying that they may not have the finance. So what about those who own the money to guide these young persons and set up a political party of credence that majority of the Nigerians would follow through with? And if it is a Peter Obi, with what is going on within the Labour Party, how does he resolve it? What other personnel within the Labour Party can be advertised and become well accepted by the people like Peter Obi is for people to trust the party to lead? I don't know if you understand my train of thought here. What's your take on it?
Esther, it's a very simple thing as far as I'm concerned. Floating a political party now about Obi is actually out of the question.
So
Yes.
you would suggest
I will
that
not
he
support that
stays with the
because
Labour Party?
I will not support that because there is really no time. Political parties are not just something that you just come up with. It's not like enrolling a child in the school and expecting that in the next 3 months, first time result will come out. No, it takes a lot. And Nigeria is a huge country. What I'm expecting from these political leaders, first of all, they have to drop greed. That it must be me that will be there. Let them drop it. If they drop that, they can form alliance, coalition.
Okay.
Coalition, they can rebrand name. We saw AD. The present president left AD. He came to form AC. From AC to ACN. ACN, he became one of those that formed the APC. Here he is today. He has become president through all this he has gone through. Do you understand? So if we are tired with the name PDP, we are tired with the name of APC, NPP, Labour Party, let these political leaders, come up with a new name and move around these political parties, get like mind. Political parties are always formed by like mind, a kind of coalition. When APC was coming on board, we saw CPC, we saw new PDP, part of PDP broke out. We saw part of ABGA, and we saw ANPP. You remember?
Okay.
All of them came together to form APC. Okay, this present situation we are now, we are tired of all this name. Why don't these political leaders that we just made mention of, Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso and all of them, come up with a kind of coalition that they will now rebrand a new name that we should be different from this name that we are tired of. But let us know the people that are behind these names. Are they credible people? Are they credible Nigerians? Are they people we can vouch for? Then they should not be greedy among themselves that, after forming it, I must be the one that will be president of Nigeria. No, your time, if it is gone, is gone. You support those that will become, the one that you believe that is popular with the youth, is popular with Nigerians. You can be an elder statesman. Guide, put ears down, listen to the people, the feelers from the street, and be able to use it to guide those that you are bringing into power. There are very young men who are good that can come, join in this whatever coalition that is coming up and be able to give Nigerians what the desired government we need. Especially those people that are carrying placard now on the street that are protesting. Why don't you even bring them, find a way to, coerce them into this coalition? Come on, we are all suffering the same thing. We go to the same market. We go to the same filling station. This is what we want to do. Over a period of time. We still have 3 years ahead now. 2-3 years. Come up. We are not forming a new political party, but these are the people behind it. Throw them to Nigerians for scrutiny. Especially through social media now. That can be done. Throw these people out to Nigerians for scrutiny. You understand? Nigerians will begin to look at their CV, begin to look at their antecedents, their trajectory, where they are coming from, what they've done, the achievement they've made so far in their respective field. Because one of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria is that our politicians don't have job. They have seen politics as job. It's not supposed to be so. If you are a professional in whatever field, politics is just a game. You go to play it and go back to your profession. But you see, even when they win ordinary councillor wins election in his own ward, he leaves his ward and go to the main town. He has left his business. Probably was a vulcanizer, he was a mechanic or whatever. He has left his business and go to the main headquarters. He has abandoned it. That's what we are talking about. Come up with people who are professionals, who are excelled in their respective fields.
We need to take phone calls. What do you say to what Gololo exposed, where he talked about the fact that Tinubu owns 17 oil wells in the Niger Delta, Tinubu manipulates the country's oil subsidy system for personal gains. And this video went viral. He made this statement in Hausa. And if interpreted, it's quite, it's a heavy one. It's an explosive allegation. He said Tinubu owns 17 oil wells in the Niger Delta that he knows of. He said his children, Kule and Wale Jr., run this refinery for him in Malta. You remember the whole Malta controversy?
It's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. And he says Owando and Ajib now belong to him, that he pays himself the subsidy he supposedly removed, which means fuel prices will never decrease, and that he also awarded himself a 15 trillion naira contract. These are explosive allegations. What would you say to it? And if this particular situation is substantiated, there are significant questions that will be raised. And the president's spokespersons haven't said anything to counter this claim.
I think they are going to say something about it because it's already in the public domain, and Nigerians are going to be flogging it. As it is now, it is just from him. It's an allegation. So we want to see proof. We want to see how they come and counter it, that all these things are. I know, this part of the world, they've denied Malta, they've been denying or whatever. We know Owando has been in existence before he became president. So even if there is any addition to Owando and other, and they have refinery outside Nigeria or whatever, what we want to see in Nigeria is that our local refineries are working, and Nigerians could go to the filling station and be able to buy fuel at affordable rates. Even if they are bringing in their own, let it be competition. If the competition is high over here, it brings down the one that is cheaper is where the one Nigeria will, and is quality, is the one Nigerians will patronize. We see now that Dangote is crying like a canary bird now, that he's not giving whatever he's not supposed to be giving. Encourage him. There are other modular refineries in Nigeria, up to 9 or 10, apart from Dangote refinery, that are also crying the same thing, that they don't have crude to run their refineries. What is holding it? So you cannot begin to punish the local industries and begin to enrich the one, purportedly you have abroad. That's what Nigerians are kicking against. That's what led to the protests we just saw. Nigerians want their own, the one we have in our country to work. Because if this one work, it will give employment to Nigerians. And again, it will bring down the price to a certain level. I love what you said last week or so, that they should be giving crude in naira and not in dollar. Those are some of the reformation that we want to see. So if the one from abroad is coming with dollar and is higher, the buyers, the operators of the oil industry, may shun that and say, no, if we buy in naira, we make more gain. They may concentrate on it. So that's why the government must encourage local industries. There is what we call protection of trade in economies, protection of industry. That's exactly what it means. That you must not use the industries abroad to suppress the ones that you have in your country. So government must do that. Whatever they need, it must be given. This allegation that came from Gololo, let us just call it allegation. We are waiting for the the government of Ahmed Tinubu to come and respond to it, because
it's important that they respond as soon as possible.
It's directly affecting us.
Yes.
Everything that we are suffering today came as a result of May 29 subsidy is gone.
Yes.
And everything Gololo said now revolve around the petroleum industry and whatever.
Exactly.
So we need to know
and
the truth about this.
And you are alleging that he has 17 oil wells, 15 trillion naira contract awarded to himself, and that the subsidy money is also coming back to him.
That's why we need to set up machineries to be able to investigate and know whether exactly is the truth. Unfortunately, we see tomorrow, probably if it is made, escalate further than this, the National Assembly will say, okay, they are calling for more investigation into it, set up a committee. At the end of the day, all the committees that we've heard from the National Assembly, which of them have yielded result, Esther?
Or the DSS has not taken him up, because like they did with Obadiah.
The DSS may pick up this guy. Remember Obadiah?
Yes.
After all that, the man died, and just everything he was saying died with him. So if the DSS is going to pick him and let him, reveal his facts.
Yes, he said he knows. He said he knows of it.
Then Nigerians will be happy to also follow him up and let him be protected, so that he will not end up like Obadiah ended up.
I don't think he's afraid. He didn't mind. He didn't mind.
That he will not end like Obadiah ended up. Nobody is accusing the government of killing him, but he just died when we were expecting more from him.
All right. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Esther.
Yes, what's your name, please, and location? Thank you for joining us.
Kelechi from Oshodi.
All right, Kelechi, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
What you are discussing is a very huge one, sir. I want to just suggest, let's not have the state regional, just the state monopoly. Let them state autonomy. Every state should control whatever they have, both security and every thing that is coming to the state. Let the state control everything. Not everything should be coming from directly to from Abuja. I don't know what is going on with this country. Let every state control both security. If you are not capable to govern your state, order from Abuja, we remove it from there. Not everybody. Everything will be coming from Abuja. We are hearing that the budget is that they give the government 5.70 billion naira.
570 billion.
Okay, 570 billion naira. I mean 570 billion naira. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it, sir?
But the governors are saying that it's not true.
It's not true. That's what.
That's what the governors they're disputing the claim that it is COVID-19 palliative from the World Bank.
Yes, it's not even from the federal government.
And it's not from the federal government.
They are pushing their responsibility to the governors. Instead of them to take care of their responsibility, they are even pushing it to the governors.
They are trying to do a hide and seek.
I don't know what is wrong with the federal government that will let the state control whatever the resources that they have in their state.
All right, thank you.
Everything is controlled by Abuja people. Abuja is controlled.
All right, thank you so much.
Those are some of the things.
I'm coming. Like my state now, we have
You've spoken for 2 minutes. We need to take more calls, okay? Thank you so much. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number. And you can send WhatsApp messages to 0817 1756 338. We also told you that you can send us your number on this WhatsApp for you to be part of our, political reasoning, for us to have reasonable conversations of what's going on in the polity. We'll add you basically to the group. Hello. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. Good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. What of you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, my name is Rokuchi. I'm calling from Egypt.
All right, go ahead.
You are not right of the man that is analyzing the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm saying good evening to him.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, you see, this country belongs to all of us. But what is happening is that we don't have one mind.
We don't have one mind.
We don't have one mind.
Okay.
And it's impossible because that is how we have made it. Ethnicity and all the rest of them. What am I trying to say? You see this government now, the one present government led by Tinubu, they have changed the country. And the little I know Tinubu, he has a big eye in everything. So what am I trying to say? If what there are allegations concerning him, what people are saying about him, going on well, I will sue him myself personally.
You mean you will sue based on what Gololo said?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to find out, because I don't like guessing. I would like to find out the source and what happened. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Are you done?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening, Esther. Good evening.
How are you, Ben?
Good evening. Longest time.
Yes, sir. Longest time.
Good evening,
right.
sir.
Very good thing.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Ben.
This accusation now by Ononuka kept quiet. Everybody knows what is going on. Because if you see that what is happening in Niger Delta, our oil now coming there to take our oil, and they are catching boys that are taking the oil with bucket and the drum.
Okay.
And you can see this Mr. President take over. He took over as the president of this country.
Okay.
From just 1 year, how much Nigeria? They didn't get the report the other time. How much?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Ben.
How much oil we have been, how much fuel we have imported now from Malta? 2.something billion. Why the other previous days it was $700 and something million. But now, under 1 year, it is $2.something billion. So the Mr. President should come and clear himself, because the 17 oil wells in Niger Delta is not just a joke. Hello?
I'm listening to you, Ben.
That allegation, they should come and clear themselves.
Yeah, so.
For his 17 oil wells in Niger Delta.
All right.
And the subsidy, he said that they are paying subsidy. Why we are still buying the thing at a high rate? Thank you so much. God
Thank
bless
you, Ben. All right, I'm going to read out some WhatsApp messages. For some of you calling, just give me a few minutes, okay? James Ogbonna from Oshodi says, good evening, Esther. I guess you're a bit under the weather because of your voice. Yes, I am. Thank you so much, James. Please, what is the full name of Dr. Gololo? Garus. Dr. Galus Gololo, because I'm trying to search for him on X. No, go on Google and search for him, not on X, so I can read his full statement. This is because I'm alarmed by his weighty allegation. So please go on Google, just type Garus Gololo. All right, Garus Gololo, that is his name. He's an APC chieftain. And of course, the video is actually all over on YouTube. Actually, he made that statement in House about, that write-up interpreted it. So, of course, he said, this is because I'm alarmed by his weighty allegation. We all know that President Tinubu has a lot of verifiable investments, including television and radio station, as well as newspaper company and hotels. However, this is a shocker for many of us that he allegedly has up to 17 oil wells in the Niger Delta, including his sons. But if this turns out to be true, who will probe the president? Okay, that's a good reasoning. Good evening, VOP. It's now the turn of the state governors. # resign any governor that can't pay 70,000 naira minimum wage. Harry Ogada from Pangrove. Thank you, Harry. Also, somebody, what's your name? Inkem? All right. Inkem wrote, please stop blaming the Tinubu administration for the ethnic bigotry in Nigeria. 95% of your analysts are not different from the president's team. Okay, thank you so much, Inkem. Okay, also he says, please, your station needs to be bringing people that has a mind of their own. All right, not bringing people who are parochial in their analysis. All right, Inkem, thank you very much for that. Good evening, Esther. Tinubu should stop giving Nigerians fish. He should teach Nigerians how to catch fish by reversing the fuel subsidy for the betterment of Nigerians and his government, because sharing pilots isn't the answer. Iwoha Ikechukwu. Thank you so much, Iwoha. PDP reconciliation mission cannot work because the party is totally polluted and lost focus. Lastly, on Atiku call for support to Dangote refinery, he knows it cannot work because allowing it to work would jeopardize the interests of cabals in the oil sector. Chika Bende from Trade Fair, Lagos. Thank you, Chika. Also, if Peter Obi did not leave PDP to the Labour Party, no one would have known his strength and the support he could gather. I really don't know what alliance would come before 2027 to kick the APC out of Nigeria forever. They are plagues and parasites to Nigerians and Nigeria. Then again, going by what Gololo said, now today, people keep calling Dangote monopolist, but the real monopolist and capitalist is the president, and it's very, very sad and depressing. Despite all warnings, people still voted for him. Now they're complaining, and some of these people, Esther, don't be surprised, will still vote for him again. I advised after all the protests, if all still stands, people should mobilize to recall all senators if they refuse to remove Akpabio. All right. Okay. Thank you. Good evening. My name is D. Ethanol from Otta. It is so disturbing and confusing that bandits are on social media flaunting the ransom they acquired through kidnapping, yet the DSS couldn't track them. But the DSS were quick to track the sponsors of protests and threatened to freeze their accounts. This is Titus from Okota. I want to greet you and your guests. Thank you so much, Titus. Okay. Thank you for sending your number. I already said send your numbers if you want to add it to the political platform where we can have logical reasonings and make adequate recommendations, all right, to how we can move forward with our political discourse. 0700 903 903 903. That is the number for you to call, and the WhatsApp number is 0817 1756 338. 0817 1756 338. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. What's your name? Hello, you're live. Good evening.
Yes.
What's your name, please? Yes, this is VOP. Good evening.
This is my name.
What's your name, sir?
This is my name.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I'm calling from a country.
All right, sir, go ahead.
So, I want to say something about this government.
Okay.
The outer man that is talking about Tinubu is very, very correct because Tinubu never want to stop importation of fuel because he is a partaker of that importation. But
How
he
are
can
you?
stop
How are you
importation of
certain,
rice.
sir? How are you certain?
Yeah?
How are you certain of what you're saying? Because we're yet to verify what Gololo said, and we're waiting for the presidency to respond.
If that is true, that is why he don't want to stop the importation of fuel. You can imagine that. If that is true, that is why he don't want to stop the importation of fuel, but he can stop every other importations. Thank you very much. That is what I want to contribute.
All right, thank you so much. All right, 0700 903 903 903. That's the number for you to call. 0700 903 903 903, and the WhatsApp number is 0817175638. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Name and location, please.
This is the Ungu Friday. I name of local government.
All right, sir, please go ahead.
Okay, in respect to in regards to the allegation level against the suppression,
Yes.
we currently are alleged, and anybody can be alleged until it's been proven.
Okay.
So currently, I am saying that Nigerians should get the proof of that allegation. So
Okay.
you can't justify saying there are no piece of.
That's what I'm saying, that the presidency needs to respond to this. Because,
And aside from that, I think the APC chieftains have not reacted. So we need a reaction
yes.
to counter that claim. And in respect to issue of Nigeria going on, the conflict that has to do with protest. I am an advocate of peace, but I'm also a supporter of protest. But it should not be hijacked by miscreants or political parties.
Okay.
Because before now, the politicians have not come up with this protest until the non-politicians pick it up.
Okay.
They were calm because one of the major obligations of opposition parties is to rise up and defend, to rise up and fight against the other political parties are not doing well. Not critical combat, but in terms of reactions and comments.
Okay.
Yes, Emeka. Yes,
Hello? Hello?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, go ahead, please. I need to pick more calls.
Okay, what I'm saying is that if they cannot do it now, then I think Nigeria should also go ahead and consider the process. That's my take currently. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. This number has been calling. Hello, good evening. Let me see if this code will connect you because... Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Finally, thank you. What's your name?
My name is Nelson. I'm calling from Surulere.
All right, Nelson, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say, first of all, that it is obvious that Nigerians are the problem of Nigeria.
Okay.
Why do I say so? Like, if you take, for instance, during the last protest, so many of the policemen and the area boys that came to fight the protesters, apart from during politics, these area boys are very close to Nigerians, and it's only Nigerians that help them when they are in need. So they only get the money from the politicians during politics, and then the next time they don't see them. They're always in the vehicles are moving. So, but yeah, the area boys will take the peanuts and fight the Nigerians. So that's number one. Now, coming to the area of subsidy, Nigerians also are the problem because Nigerians always are forgetful and do not ask questions. After the inauguration of the president, he mentioned that Nigeria saves 1 trillion from subsidy a month. Now, going from June last year till August is 13 trillion. Now, okay, for instance, you have given the governors 570 billion like he alleged. Okay, what happened to the rest of the 13 trillion that is Nigeria saved from subsidy removal from June last year till August this year? Nigerians seem to forget that was what he said. So that also is one. Then also, have you ever asked the reason why Buhari's second tenure is worse than his first tenure. The reason is simple. The reason is simple. During his first tenure, midway to his first tenure, Saraki decamped. So the executive and the legislative were no longer working hand in hand. So Saraki could not accept all the bills Buhari brought, all the loans. He couldn't accept it. So then that was why they removed Saraki. They didn't let him come back. He didn't come back and Lawal took over. And Lawal was accepting all the loans. And now we are bound to face all these problems. And if the Senate president keeps on going like Lawal, we are still going to keep having the same problem. And it is very wrong for Lawal is not supposed to come back to the Senate because he's part of the problem Tinubu is facing today. Because if he did not allow all the loans Buhari took, that unaccounted loans, we won't be facing this problem.
All right, thank you.
There's a lot I could say, but it's just that Nigerians are part of the issue. That's
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for calling. I sincerely do appreciate you. Okay.
All right.
All right. Hello. Good evening. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead. What's your name? What's your name, please? Okay, we have an issue with this card. All right, go ahead. I've put you on speaker. Go ahead, please. What's your name? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Kelvin.
Kelvin, calling from where, please?
From Lekki.
From Lekki. Kelvin, please go ahead. You have a minute.
You know, due to what's happening now, Nigeria is doing for themselves. You know why? Before good luck started leading this Nigeria,
Okay.
we talked about removing the subsidy because Nigeria spent trillions of naira just to reform for every month. But Tinubu was the first person that stood up and said that it can be possible. So why did he come to his own tenure and he was the first person that removed the subsidy and now he's saying all this?
Hello? All right, thank you. I think it's done. Mr. Elvis, let's take one more call.
Thank you.
And then we will definitely round off. Hello, please, a minute. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the Political Spotlight.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, good evening. Name and location, please.
My name is
Hello,
Precious Mother. Precious Mother.
Precious Mother. Can you turn down the volume of your radio, please?
Speaking from his fellow.
All right. Precious Mother, can you turn down the volume of your radio?
Yes, I have.
All right, go ahead, ma.
Hello.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
You are not hearing me.
I can hear you. Go ahead, ma.
Let me ask. When the president said subsidy gone,
Hello.
there is no way he can reverse.
There is a lot of noise at your background.
Pardon?
There's a noise at your background.
My ground.
All right, you know what? Kindly call us back or send a message. There's a lot of interruption at the background and she's not very audible. Okay? Let's take this call. This person has been calling consistently. Hello? Oh, the call has dropped. All right, Mr. Elvis, what do you have to say? Because I have another program coming up next.
Yeah, Esther, I want to align with the patriots.
Okay.
Even if we are
about
trying,
the Constitution.
yes, even if we are trying to shy away from the truth, let us be objective for once.
Okay.
This constitution that we are practicing, that is like a unitary constitution, we are just calling it federal constitution, whatever, it has not worked, and it's obvious that it's not working. That's why you are seeing that if you ask me where are you from, the first thing I'm going to tell you that I'm from Edo State, I'm from Eboma. I have to start, even mentioning my family and all that. We have to look for a constitution that is people-centric, that is centered around people. Okay. Not this one that was imposed on us by the military that, today we are now beginning to see our brothers and sisters that we lived together over the years as enemies. All that right. We have just seen here now that, Igbos must live between 20th and 30th of August this month. It's not done. Let us, go back to the drawing board, get a constitution that every ethnic group, every tribe, every Nigerian will make impunity to it.
Okay.
If we can live together well, then we know that this is not designed by us, and we'll go ahead with it.
All right, Mr. Elvis, thank you so much for joining us on the Political Spotlight today. I sincerely do appreciate your input. Social media handle?
Elimere Elvis across all social media.
All right, my name is Esther Machiko as well. Follow me on Estic Media on YouTube. That's ESTIQMEDIA. Thank you for being part of the conversation this evening. Bye for now.